Hello my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hi, my name is Mary and I give you an extra warm welcome. I would love it if you grabbed a snack, stayed for a while and click the subscribe button. I would love to have you. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back. I appreciate you more than you know. So as you can tell by the title of the video, my Beautylish order is here, which means it's going to be all about Sonia G today. So I did order her newest brush. This is the Sheer Buffer brush, and I was actually intrigued.
And I'm also glad that it wasn't $85.
$65 seems a little bit more reasonable than $85 for just one brush, but I was pretty excited. I do feel like Sonia G has a reputation for a reason, but we'll get into all of that once we start this video. So if you want to hear me talk all about super bougie makeup brushes, aka Sonia G, then just go ahead and keep on watching. Okay, my lovely, so I do have my iPad here because I need to give you the deets on this brush. So Beautylish is where I purchased mine from. That is the spot here in the US that you can purchase Sonia G from. I don't know if there's other places. If there is, let me know down below. So $65 for this Sheer Buffer brush. And I'll read you here the deets on this. So the Sonia G Sheer Buffer brush effortlessly applies cream bronzer with a lightweight diffused finish. Designed by beauty vlogger and makeup brush expert Sonia G and masterfully handcrafted by Japanese artisans. The stippling brush features 2 layers of bristles, one to pick up the product and another to buff the product in seamlessly on the skin. Striking the perfect balance, the brush is strong and controlled for a diffused application, yet feels silky soft on the skin. So in case you didn't know, at least all of the brushes that I have looked up, it's usually a mix between goat hair and synthetic fibers. So it's not 100% goat hair. I don't know if all of the brushes are like that, but the ones that I have read up on, it seems like it's a mixture of the two. Just FYI, so it's not completely animal hair. Okay, so 65, I think I already mentioned that, but here is what the beautiful brush looks like. I do enjoy the aesthetics for her brand, makeup brush brand. The ones that I own are this one where it's like the ombre effect and it goes from black to like this pretty almost red burgundy. Another one that I have is this one, which goes from black to blue. And then the mini kayaki is different. It looks like a wooden handle. Okay, so my very first brush set, if I remember correctly, the very first brushes that I purchased were the mini kayaki set. And that is because the price was so good for this. How much was it? Yeah, the mini kayaki brush is $160 and you get 5 different brushes. Granted, yes, the handles are shorter, but you still get like the full size brush itself. So after that, I fell in love and that's when I slowly started collecting my Sonia G brushes. As of right now, these are all my Sonia G brushes. So a good amount, a decent amount, I feel like, to give you a decent review on what I think about the brushes themselves. Okay, as you can see, I have no makeup on, so we are going to put these into action and I can show you just how they perform and if I think they're worth the money that they cost, because these are pretty expensive brushes. Okay, so for foundation, I have 2 different brushes. I have the classic base and then the jumbo base. The jumbo base, I have it in the short handle from the mini kayaki brush set, and I have a normal size jumbo base. So there is a difference. This one is a little bit more dense. This one I feel like you can definitely use it more than just for foundation. You can probably, which I haven't tried, use it for cream bronzer if you like to just really tap it in, probably cream blush as well, but I mostly use this just for foundation. And then this mini base is also a favorite for foundation. If I had to pick between the two, I would say this one, just because it's a little bit more fluffy and I feel like the application is just a little bit more airy and more soft. If the foundation is too thick, and I feel like this one is a tiny bit too flimsy for it, then I will go in with the jumbo base. But I enjoy these almost equally, but I prefer this one. The jumbo base on its own retails for $68. And the classic base on its own retails for $55. So let me go ahead and apply my foundation, and I'll go ahead and buff it out so you could see. I think I'll use both brushes just to show you. For today, I'm going to use this Makeup Forever HD Skin. I have the shade 2N26. It might be a tiny bit too dark. I'm hoping it's not. Okay, so this side I'll use the Jumbo Worker. If I remember correctly, this foundation does dry down pretty quick, so. But see how effortlessly it blended that out? Okay, now on this side we'll use the classic base. And as you can see, also buffed it out like a dream, no issues. My kid wants to show you the Play-Doh cake she made me. Okay, so I honestly don't even have a preference on which side it looks better because they both look equally as beautiful. I think it just depends on what you prefer. If you like a more dense brush, then definitely the jumbo base. And if you like a more soft and just flimsy brush, then I would say the classic base, but they're both
Beautiful.
This one's $10 more than this one, so maybe the price is a factor. Okay, now we're going to move on to concealer, and as you can tell, oh, by the way, primers. I did go in to my Wet n Wild primer serum, and then I'm trying out this Cali Ray So Blown Clean Blurring Primer. Use that in my T-zone. I got a little sample, so I'm testing that out to see if I like it. So far, it's a little too silicone-y for me as far as feeling wise. I don't know how it will perform, so we'll see. And then the Makeup Forever Hydra Boost. I'm almost done with this, so I'm kind of trying to finish it off for the perimeters of my face. Okay, so concealer. I'm going to jump into the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Skin Concealer in the shade 30. As you can see, I'm going with Makeup Forever for my base. I'm still testing out base combos that I'm going to choose for my wedding day, so that's why I picked those two. And so far, this actually looks really good. Okay, so now the brush that I use for concealer, which is the mini base, and I actually own two of them. I think this might have been my second purchase from Sonia G, is this mini base brush, mainly because I wanted it for concealer. For some of you, it might seem like it's a tiny bit big, but it just works out perfectly. The softness, and so it's soft, but it's also a tiny bit dense. And this actually looks a lot like my old favorite, which was a Morphe brush. I got rid of all of my Morphe brushes, so I had to find another one. Unfortunately for me, it was a more expensive option. $40 for this brush. I know, crazy for a concealer brush, right? I also have been liking the Jumbo Worker from the Mini Kayaki brush set. This one is not sold individually. There is, I believe, a jumbo, is it a Jumbo Worker? I forget what it's called, but there's another one that kind of looks like this. Now, I don't know if this is meant to be for like the eyes, but this is too big. The only thing I'd be able to use this for is for primer, and I'm not going to use a Sonia G brush just for primer. This actually works really well for concealer because even though it's a tiny bit smaller than this one, it's still pretty fluffy and works really good. So I think I'll use both of these, one on this side and one on this side, just to show you. Again, this one is not sold individually, but maybe I'll go ahead and link the one that I think might be close to being similar to this shape. Okay, so Makeup Forever concealer. I haven't picked this up in a while. I don't put a ton of concealer on. If you've been here for a while, you already know. This is a really good concealer. Maybe I should have applied only one side at a time. I enjoy fluffy brushes for my concealer. I don't like dense brushes. I feel like dense brushes leave my under eyes looking cakey. So let's start with this jumbo worker on this side, just so you could see just how beautifully it applies. Like it blends this out like a dream, literally. Do you see that? Okay, and now the mini base. Obviously, this one's a tiny bit bigger, so it's going to be a lot quicker to blend out your concealer. But they both actually do an amazing job with blending it out. And of course, this is like a mini version of the classic base. Okay, here is what we are looking like. And 100%, I don't prefer one side over the other. They honestly look, I do have a handheld mirror here, but I'm trying to use it the least amount of possible because every time I turn it to where the light behind me reflects on it, and it like points a yellow light at me. But yeah, it just, you see that? They look so pretty, both sides, equally as beautiful. I have seen some people use the mini base for cream, like bronzer and cream contour, but I use it mainly for concealer. I don't use it for anything else. Love these brushes as well. Okay, now we're finally going to jump into the star of the show for today, which is the Sheer Buffer from Sonia G. And we are going to use cream bronzers because I always use cream bronzers. We are going to start with the Victoria Beckham Contour Stilo. Her stylus. I've been enjoying this. It's a really good formula. I just hate how you get such little product. Like, she really did that. How rude. Okay, I am actually going to use this new Sonia G brush. I did clean it before using it. I'm just gonna see if it blends this okay, and it sure did. Okay. Apologies, my kid's gonna keep interrupting. Mom life. If you know, you know. If you don't, apologies. Okay, we're going to jump into the Chanel Midi Travel Cream Bronzer. This is in the shade Soleil Tan, which is the lightest shade. And I think I'm going to jump into a tiny bit of the Makeup by Mario Skin Enhancer. I have it in the shade Light Medium. Okay, so I think I've only seen one review on this brush. They really dug the brush in there. I don't know if I've seen Sonia G actually demo this brush, but I don't swirl.
I cannot do that.
I will dip my brush into here, but lately what I've been doing is I've been getting it on my finger and then applying it that way. Fuzzies and all that get on the product when you dip your brush in there. So that's one of the reasons why I started doing that. But just for the sake of this video, I will dip my brush in here. So I'm actually going to swirl, but it's going to be like soft, small swirls, and you can see there's product on there. And I will do comparisons of some other stippling brushes that I do have in my collection in case you're interested in a brush like this but aren't sure you want to spend the $65 and then end up not liking it. So I have the Chanel product. And I'm going to, and I'm doing it softly because I feel like with brushes like this, you don't need to apply too much pressure to them. And it's almost like you're using just the softest, lightest hand. And it is a stippling brush, so you can probably stipple as well. But do you see that? Very, very pretty. Soft. Did a really good job at blending that out. Let me look up close to see if any lifting is happening. I don't think any lifting is happening. I don't see any. No. See, I have the same amount of, I use very light amount of foundation, so like my natural skin peeks through and I'm okay with that. Okay, let me wipe it And I am going to jump into the Makeup by Mario just a tiny bit. For this one, I'm just kind of picking it up like this. This Makeup by Mario is a tiny bit of a sheer product, so it's not like I'm going to add too much more coverage to it. And I feel like this Makeup by Mario is a tiny bit more on the balmy side, as it doesn't turn to powder like the Chanel. So I'm much more comfortable stippling this product over swiping like I did with the Chanel. Okay, skin is looking beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, so I'm actually going to attempt to use this for cream blush as well. I do have some other stippling brushes here that I have used for cream blush before, and they work absolutely amazing. We're going to jump into the Pat McGrath and also the Makeup by Mario. Let's start with the Makeup by Mario. I did wipe it off. I don't like to use the same, like I don't like to use it without wiping it off. I'm weird like that. Okay, so it has product in here. And I will more than likely just stipple the blush because I don't want my base to move underneath. But as you could see, it did a fabulous job. I definitely do feel this is a great brush for cream products. Okay, and now we're going to jump in to the Pat McGrath. I'm going to grab it from the stick. I enjoy these formulas. They're very pretty, but I have to powder them. I just have to. So definitely a winner. It's a very pretty brush, and I have a feeling I'm really going to enjoy this. It might just become a new favorite for cream bronzer because it did such a good job with that Chanel. Okay, I went ahead and powdered off camera. I do not have a powdering brush from Sonia G. Definitely on my list. I'm just not sure exactly which one because I feel like some of them are too big. I'm particular when it comes to face powder brushes. The biggest I'll go is this size right here. This is even too big sometimes. And then I do enjoy tapered brushes for my T-zone because if you've been here for a while, you know that I can be a tiny bit bougie when it comes to powders. I used my Makeup Forever pressed powder in Ivory for my under eye, and then the Dominique Cosmetics for my T-zone, and the Hourglass for the rest of my base.
So yeah, 3 powders.
To powder my whole face. Okay, now we're going to jump into this soft cheek brush. I mainly purchased this for blush. One of my all-time #1 favorite blush brushes was from Morphe, the Ariel and Morphe collection. But as you all know, I'm no longer supporting Morphe, so I decided to get rid of all of my Morphe brushes, which they're gone. They're all gone. Okay, so the soft cheek retails for $48. I purchased one to try it out and see if it was just as good as that Morphe one, and it's actually so much better. So I purchased another one. For today, we're actually going to use these, one for blush and one for bronzer. I also don't own a powder bronzer brush from Sonia G, or at least a brush that I personally use for powder bronzer. That's from Sonia G. I could technically use this one, but I just really love this for blush, and that's why I have two in case, you know, one is super dirty. Instead of having to wash it, I'll just use my backup, and then, you know, once they're both dirty, then I have to wash them. But we're going to use this today as powder bronzer. I also do have this one here. What is this? The Soft Face. This one I've used for blush. I haven't used it for bronzer. I really enjoy fluffy brushes for blush. This one is a tiny bit smaller. See, it's like the baby of this one. So I like to use this for like powder precision application, blush powder that is. Okay, let's just jump into bronzer because I'm talking too much. This Dior bronzer shade 006 Amber Bronze. Really been enjoying this. It's a good one. Okay, so first time using this brush as a bronzer brush. So let's see. I do feel like it could be a tiny bit bigger for bronzer application. And the newest one that she released, I think it was the jumbo bronzer, it's too big. It is too big for my personal taste. There is a couple of brushes that I have my eye on, but one of them is like $85 and I'm like, oh, you know, for one brush. So I'm waiting for the right moment to actually purchase it. Okay, that's what it looks like. It did a really good job with that. I just wish it was a tiny bit bigger. As of right now, I don't have my number one favorite brush for powder bronzer. I purchased this one from NARS. It's just the bronzer brush, but sometimes I feel like it's too big. It works pretty and it makes it look nice, but I'm debating on just using this as like a precision powder brush because once you start using it, it puffs up more and I feel like it gets a tiny bit more bigger than what my personal preference is for powder bronzer. So I'm still on the hunt for my number one powder bronzer brush. Okay, now I'm going to show you the brush in action with blush. This is the other one that's clean. I'm going to jump into the new Dior and I'm going to mix the Gucci. This one is in the pretty pink, what is it, true pink, and berry for the Dior. Okay, I just wanted to show you this little brush in action. Honestly, I did not need to use this for blush as well. Okay, so as far as eyeshadow brushes from Sonia G, I only own two and they came in the mini Kayaki brush set. I have been eyeing an eye brush set. I believe she only has two available in her line. They're on my wish list. But I just haven't pulled the plug. I think one of them is 160 or 170, but for some reason, it's just harder to pay that much for 5 eyeshadow brushes than it is for the mini Kayaki brush set, which you get 3 face brushes and 2 eye brushes. I don't know why, it just, yeah. So I am going to use these two. One is a crease brush and it's just like a fluffy brush for the crease. And then this one is a detail brush. So this one's like a pencil brush, but a tiny bit more fluffy and a slightly bit more bigger in diameter than like a normal pencil brush would be. So let me just create a quick eye look because this video is probably already going to be super long and I still haven't even done comparisons to the new buffer brush and other brushes. Let me do this eye look. I am going to use this NARS. I got this for $7 at TJ Maxx. That's the only reason I'm using this because it's new to me. It's the suede palette. So let me jump into an eye look. Okay, this is what the eye look looks like. Cute little eyeshadow palette. I feel like the mattes in this palette pull very cool tone on my skin tone. But other than that, it's a really pretty palette. I do enjoy the NARS formula. Okay, very last brush that I'm going to use, and then that's going to conclude of all the Sonia G brushes that I own, is the Mini Cheek brush. This one retails for $36, and I'm gonna look at the description because I use this for highlight. The Mini Cheek is a precious tool when you are looking for a targeted application, but you don't necessarily want very heavy results at the very first wipe. Yes, so I would definitely say it's a very light and fluffy brush, which is probably why I love it for highlight. It's extremely easy to build up an application. It is extremely easy to build up any application to very intense results. It's curved for roll. I think I'm saying that incorrectly, but opens up the bristles for a more fluffy, airy shape, but keeping the brush very controllable. It's a gem with highlight or contour, but also amazing with precise blush, powder, or bronzer application. Definitely would not use this for blush. It's too small. It's way too small. Maybe powder contour, but I've used it for highlight and that's about it because it literally applies my highlight so beautifully. It just sinks it right into my skin. I'm going into the Dior Luminizer in Coral Cruise. It's from the latest launch that they had. But do you see that? So pretty, literally. And it works best with powder highlights. Okay, let me finish off, fix my hair, and then we'll come back and do a few comparisons of the new Sheer Buffer with some of the other stippling brushes I have in my brush collection. Okay, my lovelies, here is the full completed face. And I used pretty much all Sonia G makeup brushes except for powder. That's the only thing that I did not use Sonia G. For the lips, I have on the Victoria Beckham Lip Definer in shade number 3 and this Artist Couture lip oil. I don't think this is available at Sephora anymore, and I think you could only get it at Artist Couture website. I'll look for it and link it down below. Okay, so Sonia G and this new Sheer Buffer brush. So far, yes, I love it. I think it's a really good brush. I'm glad it's only $65 because when I first saw the announcement of this, I thought it was going to be like $85 or $75. So I'm actually pretty stoked that it's
$65.
The special thing about a stippling brush is that there's 2 layers of brush bristles. So the first layer, and you could see it, and then the top layer. And that's usually what makes the stippling brushes kind of special. Okay, now we're going to compare. So this is from Smashbox and it is the stippling foundation brush. Ooh, there's a hair on this. And I love using this for foundation. It literally leaves a good finish. I enjoy using this mostly for foundations that are a little bit more airy and not as heavy. Okay, this one here is from Wet n Wild, and as you could see, similar shape, just this one's smaller, and you can definitely see the bristles where the first layer starts and where the second layer ends. I enjoy this. I was using this for quite some time for my cream bronzer and for my cream blush. It's a really good Wet n Wild brush. I don't even know what it's called, and hopefully I can find it because this is actually a pretty old brush. Okay, the next 2 are from Sigma. This is the Sigma F50 and it's also like a dual fiber brush, and when I do that you can tell, see the black little fibers? That's where the first layer start and then the white is the second layer. Very similar shape, just this one's bigger, and well, I've used this more than this one, so this one's a little bit more wider, but same concept pretty much. Okay, my last stippling brush that I'm going to compare to, and this is the only other stippling brushes that I own in my collection. Another Sigma one. This is the F53, which is the contour blush stippling brush. So you can use this for contour or for blush, and this one I like using also with very airy, like the, what was it, the iconic London bronzer, the gel bronzer. I loved using this with that because it's just, they're so fluffy brush. See, there's the first layer, and then the white is the second layer. Different shape, but same concept. All of these brushes are definitely cheaper than the Sonia G. And like I mentioned, I'm gonna put up pictures with the price and everything. Okay, so now comes the big question. Would I recommend this Sonia G brush? I would say, if you are in the market for a luxury brand bling brush, then I would say, yes, you will not be disappointed. The purpose of this video is not to convince you to go and buy Sonia G brushes. They're pretty expensive. I never want for my channel or for me to seem like I'm coming on here to push you to buy products. That's why I pulled out my other stippling brushes and showed you other options that are cheaper than this Sonia G, because these also work really good. I would say close to as good as this. So no, you don't need this. But if you are on the market for a luxury brand stippling brush, then I don't think you would be disappointed. It worked great. As you could tell, I fell in love with Sonia G brushes, and my collection is a decent size. I don't have all of her brushes. I definitely do have others that are on my wish list, but just like everybody else, you know, they're so expensive that coughing up $160, $170 for 5 eye brushes, to me, I'm just like, you know. So overall, I do enjoy Sonia G. I think she does a phenomenal job when it comes to her brushes. Every single one I own, I absolutely love and adore and have not been disappointed at all. Yeah, those are my final thoughts on Sonia G as a whole on this buffer brush. Sheer Buffer brush. So I hope this video helped you out. I also hope that you enjoyed me, you know, pretty much demoing the brush in action, because I feel like that helps out a lot. At least for me, it does. Okay, well, thank you so much for being here, my lovelies. I appreciate every single one of you. You have no idea. All the comments, all the likes. If you use my links to shop, it truly means the world to me. Again, apologies for me having to film with my camera for the time being. It's only temporary. It's not going to be a permanent thing. Hopefully we can get this whole situation figured out. And again, thank you for being so understanding. Without you all, I don't think I would have a channel, really. Okay, well, with that being said, I would love it if you gave this video a big thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it, and you would definitely help me out in the algorithm of hopefully bringing some new and fresh eyes to my channel. And if you haven't done so already, I would love it if you joined my small YouTube family by clicking the subscribe button. I would love to have you. All right, my lovelies, I will see you all on the next video.